this conversation can go a number of different ways, and I want to kind of keep it compact just a little bit, because some people probably thinking about what's on the dollar and all this other great stuff, and yeah, that all factors in. But we want to kind of shape it in a particular direction. So just understand as we go forward, the term trust is identified straight from Webster. I'm not making this up. It is a firm belief in the reliability, truth, ability, or strength of someone or something. So I think that's important to understand as we're going forward, because this all started from our previous conversation. Now go back and listen to our last conversation, because I think Anita kind of got mad at me. I hurt her feelings a little bit, and I apologize if I did. Um,
It's
you
all
know,
right. It's growing pains.
it's growing pains, absolutely, and growing pains are actually good for us. Um, and one of the things I recall saying is that you cannot or you should not put your trust in man. In fact, the Bible never tells us to trust man. In fact, it really tells us just the opposite. Um, and so that was the catalyst behind us coming to the conclusion that this is what we want to talk about, because I think it's important when we consider relationships. Because I don't know about you, when I was growing up, you would hear this word trust being slung like an axe. Like if
Hmm.
you can't trust a person, then you get the excommunicate them or so whatever that looks like, right? Kick them out the church.
Right.
And so I think as we develop this conversation, we're going to learn something about our perception of trust in relationship. As we go forward. So, with that being said, Onita, I want to drop this in your lap real quick. I want you to kind of do some reflection, right? And where did you gain an understanding of trust? And it doesn't matter how far back you want to go. It's up to you.
Ooh, so uh, a real understanding of trust, not what man says trust. It would probably be in my 30s
Hmm.
because up until that point, I didn't trust anybody. If you broke a promise, like you said, you excommunicated. If you told me that you were going to be somewhere at a certain time and you weren't there, I was done with you. So I had nothing to lean on. But then when I actually developed a real relationship with God, then I understood what trust really was. And He hasn't failed me yet. So when I gained the understanding of what trust was, I was already an adult with kids. I'm trying to show them they can trust me. But also, I learned that it was harder for me to trust God at that age because of the things that happened to me in childhood, if that makes sense.
Hmm. That's actually pretty good. Because in response to that, mine is I want to go back a little further. Because for me, you got to realize I'm a young male trying to figure this whole thing called life out. It's me and my mom. That's my dad had already moved on, had his own family by that time, and so for me, what I knew is that I trust her. Like I trust my mom. Like I didn't think that
Right.
she would ever do or say anything to me to harm me. So yeah, she's a human. She has emotions, but I also realized that her emotions did not necessarily define her reality at that point in time. Maybe I did something to make her mad, and I needed to own the fact that yeah, I was wrong. But I realized that again, she would never do anything to harm me or trust me or whatever that looks like. So when it came down to trust, like I trusted her. So in my mind, going forward, I believed that trust was supposed to be something that mirrored what my belief in her looked like. And so I think where I struggled is that I wanted to trust everybody moving forward like I trusted her, and what I realized at a later point in time, I was creating a huge mountain for somebody to climb. But it wasn't rooted in trust, it was rooted in my perception of my mother. Because, in essence, moving forward, that's what we do. We go forward and we try to find somebody that reminds us of that significant relationship that we have. So, for boys, you have a great relationship with your mother. So, when you look for a spouse, you want somebody that kind of puts you in the mindset of your mother to a certain degree, not 100%, right? So, you want that person to care for you like your mom do, not so much as take care of you like your mom do, but would be willing to do so. And I think that's important as well. And for girls, I think it looks the same thing when it comes down to their dads. They want a man, a person that hello? Uh-oh. We're running into some technical issues here. Hold on 1 second. Can you hear me
Can you
now?
see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
You're like really slow
I'm
talking. It
hearing
might
that.
be on my
Yeah.
side.
No. It's in my ear. That's what made me stop. Yeah, so let me do this. Man, I don't want to end it because I won't be able to connect back to Facebook and oh, this is crazy. Hold on 1 second. You stay there, don't move.
So you want me to come out
No,
and
you
come
stay
back
there.
in?
No, you stay. I'm gonna step out and I'm gonna come back.
Okay. Please bear with us, everyone, while we get down to fixing these technical difficulties. I appreciate you all for tuning in all year or since we started this monthly. He's back.
All right, can you
All
hear me
right, can
now?
you hear me now?
Yes.
Great. I don't know
I don't
what
know what
happened. It was
happened. It was
crazy.
crazy.
It
It
was
was
like,
like your voice was in the matrix.
yeah, for
Yeah, for
real.
But you see how when we start talking about things that really, really matter, things like this happen.
Right.
Right.
But anyways, continue. You said
That was
girls need to
scary.
trust their father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
I gotta
I
find my
gotta find
swag.
my
Y'all
swag.
please
Y'all
forgive
please
us.
forgive us.
Um,
Um,
so
so
I think
I
those
think those
relationships are
relationships are
significant.
significant.
Like I
Like I
mentioned about
mentioned about
myself,
myself,
what was
what was
important to me
important
is
to
that
me
I
is that I
understood and I
understood and I
trusted my
trusted
mother.
my mother.
I didn't
I
think
didn't
she
think
would
she
ever
would
do
ever
anything
do
to
anything to
harm me,
harm me,
damage me, or
damage me,
hurt
or
me.
hurt me.
So when
So
it
when it
came
came
down,
down,
yeah, I
yeah,
hit the
I hit
text,
the text,
Michelle.
Michelle.
I can
I
hear it
can
as
hear it
well.
as well.
Um,
Um,
let me say,
Let
I
me
need
say,
to
I
work
need to
on that.
work on
Give me
that.
two
Give me two
seconds.
seconds.
Um,
Um,
maybe I just need
Maybe
to
I
go
just
without
need
the
to go without the
headphones. Let me
headphones.
try
Let me
that.
try that.
All right.
All right.
Is it still an
Is it still
echo?
an echo?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
so.
think so.
Can you hear
Can
me?
you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you still
Do
hear
you
the
still hear
echo?
the echo?
There's still an echo.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my gosh.
This
This
today is
today
the
is the
definition of
definition of
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's
And we
Law.
did
And we did
everything right,
everything
y'all.
right,
We was
y'all.
in
We
here and
was
we
in
was
here and we
talking
was
and
talking
nothing
and nothing
happened
happened
wrong
wrong
in the midst
in
of
the
the
midst of the
conversation.
conversation.
I tell you
I
what,
tell you
we're
what,
just
we're
gonna
just
roll
gonna
with it.
roll with it.
If you
If
guys
you
can be
guys can be
patient with
patient
us,
with us,
um, we're going
we're
to
going
just
to
press
just press
forward
forward
because I
because
don't
I
want
don't
to
want to
leave this
leave this
conversation on the
conversation on the
table
table
simply because
simply
I think
because I
it's an
think it's an
important
important
conversation to have.
conversation to have.
Um,
Um,
but what I was
but what I
saying
was
is
saying
that
is that
when it
when
came
it
down
came
to
down
my
to my
mother,
mother,
I did
I
not
did
believe
not
that she would
believe that
do
she would
anything to
do
hurt
anything to
me.
hurt me.
In
In
fact,
fact,
I
I
thought she
thought she
always had
always
my
had
best
my
interest
best
at
interest
heart.
at heart.
And so when
And
it
so
came
when it
down to
came down
people
to
of the
people of
opposite
the opposite
sex,
sex,
females, I
females, I
always viewed
always
them through
viewed
the
them through
lens
the
that I
lens
seen
that I
my
seen
mother.
my mother.
I
Right.
I
wanted
wanted
them,
them.
right? Yeah,
Right? Yeah,
absolutely. We're
absolutely.
buying the
We're
ending
buying the
right
ending
now.
right now.
I agree.
I agree.
I
I
wanted
wanted
them
them
to
to
actually,
actually,
view me
view
as though my
me as
mother
though my
see
mother
me.
see
Like
me.
they would
Like
never
they
do
would never
anything
do
to hurt
anything to
me. They
hurt
would
me.
always
They would
care
always
for me.
care
They
for
would
me.
always
They
have
would
my
always have
best
my
interest
best
at heart.
interest at heart.
And on the other side, I believe
I
that
believe that
young
young
ladies, and I'm not
ladies, and I'm not
qualified to say
qualified
it,
to
you have
say
to
it, you
help
have
me
to help me
understand this.
understand this.
I believe
I
young
believe young
ladies, if
ladies,
they have
if
a
they
good
have a good
relationship with their
relationship with
father,
their father,
then that's
then
kind of
that's
like
kind of
what
like
they
what
would
they would
want in a
want in
mate,
a mate,
Absolutely.
ideally.
ideally.
Okay.
Okay.
And so
And so
that for
that for
me is
me
where
is
the
where the
beginning of
beginning of
trust
trust
actually
actually
happens
happens
in our
in our
younger
younger
years.
years.
Fast
Fast
forward,
forward,
we get
we
to
get to
middle
middle
school, high
school,
school
high school
years, and we
years, and we
start
start
intermingling with other
intermingling with other
people, and
people,
we
and we
have this
have this
crush, and
crush, and
we want
we
to
want to
get to know
get
them
to know them
better, and oh,
better,
we're
and oh,
so
we're
in
so in
love.
love.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
I'm just
No,
being
I'm just
honest.
being honest.
you're
You're
infatuated.
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 Absolutely.
Absolutely.
At that point
At
in
that
time,
point
your
in time, your
hormones might be
hormones might be
ranging as
ranging as
well, so
well,
it
so
might
it might
be
be
a lot of
a lot of
confusion,
confusion,
but
but
that's really what
that's
it
really what
is.
it is.
Um,
Um,
and I'm
and
so
I'm so
frustrated with
frustrated with
this
this
echo.
echo.
You guys
You
forgive
guys
us,
forgive us,
but
but
I
I
believe
believe
as we
as
go
we go
forward,
forward,
our
our
perception of
perception of
trust
trust
changes
changes
because other
because other
people
people
violate it.
violate it.
So we move into that space that you mentioned to where we don't trust anybody because everybody that we trusted previously proved us to be wrong. So I don't want to give anybody that power over me anymore. And that becomes some of the struggles that we deal with as it relates to trust. Your thoughts on that?
So, how I learned not to hold people to a standard that even I'm going to break. I mean, I'm not saying I can't be trusted because, that person can't be trusted, but I'm saying it in a way I'm not perfect. There's going to be some things that happen and things that I do that are going to feel to someone else that they can't trust me. And I have to give everyone else the same courtesy. And if I want that courtesy, then who am I not to extend it to somebody else? And then also, I learned this in my 30s after I really started I ain't gonna say I didn't have a relationship, but I was showing up for real relationship with the Lord. I learned that I could not love people for who I wanted them to be, but who they are. And when I started loving them for who they are and not who I wanted them to be, then it was easy for me not to say, okay, this is your exodus. You done failed me too many times, so I'm going to go ahead and pack you on up out of here, because it wasn't at my standard anymore. It was, this is who they are. Love them for who they are and where they are. And as they grow, you continue to love them. And it's like what you said in the previous conversation. You say, we're upset with people when we should be upset with the spirit. This is God's creation. So once I really got an understanding for that, it became easy to have relationships, friendships, even with family members that I'm just like, all right, I'm done with you, and really be done with them. Because I realized my trust should not be in them in the first place.
Right. I'm trying to work on this over here. I'm sorry. You know what? I agree with you. I think one of the biggest things I had to do is remove my expectations off of people. Because if I place the mantle of my expectations on you, then I was guaranteed that you would. I was guaranteeing that you would fail.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it was. And I think that's the same thing when it comes down to trust. Because when I have an expectation for you to do a thing, then if you don't do it exactly the same way I want you to do it, or I believe that you should do it, then chances are you're going to fail at it. And when you fail at it, now I don't trust you.
Right.
And that is a very dangerous space to be in. So one of the first things I had to learn is remove the expectation. Allow someone else to be, and instead of shaping them into what I want them to be, just recognize if I can identify who they are, that helps me to understand whether I or we can be in each other's space.
Mm-hmm.
And in the space of learning, what we'll realize is that, hey, we're really good friends, or we're really good for one another. Or we're just not at all either. And
you learn to put people in different categories, and I'm sorry, but it's happening. Whether you're very reliable, a little reliable, or not reliable at all.
Absolutely. I want to make sure I'm catching some statements here. Is loving them gives them the continuance to have bad behavior and ushers them into correction. I want to make sure I'm honoring that question correctly. It is a good question. So is loving them gives them the continuance to have bad behavior and usher them into correction. Initially, and Anita, I want to make sure I give you the answers as well. Initially, my response is yes. Because it really sounds like a yes or no question. But I think, and I've said this before, I think under the umbrella of love, there are a number of different things. You have everything from compassion to correction. So if I correct you, that is evidence that I love you. If I don't love you, then I don't have the responsibility to correct you. Right. But ideally, we are supposed to love all God's creation. In fact, that is the highest of our service calling, like to love what He loves. Try turning it. Yeah, I tried that, Angel. Thank you so much. I tried turning it off. I tried going out, coming back in. I'm telling you, Murphy is really at us,
I'm
and they
telling
don't
you.
really want you to hear what I got to say. So
Okay.
just listen to Anita. I think Anita sabotaged my mic. That's what happened.
No. We've been waiting on this conversation.
Yeah, we have.
Like,
And I apologize. I think it may be corrected in the recording. And I'll go back and take a look at it. And if it doesn't work, you know what? Maybe we just need to revisit this at a later point in time. But we're going
hey,
to press
this
forward.
is a conversation that
Absolutely.
can continue. It's
Right.
not a 1 hour type thing. This is
No.
continual because as we grow, our situation changes, our lives change, our jobs change. You may go to a new job next week and you got to learn, okay, how do I get along with these new employees?
Right.
Do I put them at my standard where I come from, or do I stay at where I am but allow them to be who they are? So this, I'm sorry, I'm getting
No, you're good.
but this conversation is not just one thing or one type of. We can revisit this quarterly if we like, based on what we got going on.
Hey, as the younger generation say, I'm here for it. But so great question, Michelle. And I think when we understand love is everything between compassion and correction, right? Look at how we treat our children. We uplift our children, we praise our children, we teach our children, we guide our children, and we also correct our children. But we don't get to the point to where we, and I want to make sure I'm using this word accurately, we don't bastardize our child when they step out of line. We correct them and then move them back into the place that they are supposed to be, not allowing them to stay there and then say, I just want you to accept me for who I am. That's a very dangerous game to play. I'm sorry, go ahead.
When you said bastardize, I need people to understand that he's saying, and this is my interpretation, tell me if I'm right or wrong, you don't just walk away from your kids because they messed up.
Correct.
You just don't, I'm done with you. These are your children. You just don't, because they upset you, because they didn't meet your expectation, you just leave them out there. That's the problem with a lot of the young generation. Their parents who had expectation of them meeting their expectation and they didn't. I can't deal with you no more. I can't. But don't the Lord deal with you every day? Didn't you wake up today? Did he not give you grace? Didn't you have new mercy every single day that you woke up? So who are you to walk away from your child and say, I'm done with them? Absolutely not.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and so I bring that to the table because that's what happens in a relationship. We will correct a person and then bastardize them because in our mind, the thing that they did was so egregious that I can't deal with you. But then if that's true, then that means we were handling trust the wrong time. Wrong the whole time. I'm sorry. We were handling trust wrong the whole time because if I felt I needed to correct you based upon something that you should have already known, all bets are off.
I'm laughing because you're talking about me.
I'm sorry. Did you guys see? Listen, did you guys see the innocence on her face when she said that?
At least I'm being honest.
We are absolutely.
It used to be me. It's not me anymore.
We are in a space of progressive awareness.
Yes.
So we've all done some things in the past that we haven't been doing. We've treated people outside of what the Creator intended for them to be treated. And so for us to go back and consider that, that's what reflection is, right? For us to go back and consider that, then we must realize that, hey, I got to be honest with myself first before I can be honest with somebody else. But once I'm honest with myself, I have to be honest with you because it's a requirement. Right. That's what relationship mandates. So yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for that question, Michelle. I think that was a good question. You have a question?
For the listeners, for you.
Oh yeah.
So we were talking about how we are not supposed to put our trust in man, right? And where do we gain this from? How many times did we break the trust to ourselves? How many times did we say, you know what? I'm about to start working out, and then we stop 3 days later? How many times did we say, oh, I'm going to wake up at 5:30? We did it for 3 days. That's too hard. Is that not your word to yourself? And if we're breaking our own word, which is a form of trust, to ourselves, why are we placing what other people do outside of our own above what we say about us, what we say we will do?
That's good.
That's good.
I
I
find no
find no
faults in the
faults in the
questions that you
questions that
asked,
you
ma'am.
asked, ma'am.
I would,
I would,
because you asked
could you ask
why.
why?
I
I
think
think
our
our
perception of
perception
our
of our
image is
image is
flawed.
flawed.
In other
In
words,
other
how
words,
I
Back
how I
see
to
see
myself.
myself.
conversation that we had before.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Go back and
Go
take a
back
look
and
at
take a
it, by
look
the
at
way.
it, by the way.
Our
Our
perception of
perception of
ourselves is
ourselves is
flawed.
flawed.
We
We
place more
place more
value in
value
how
in how
you
you
see
see
me
me
than
than
how
how
than who I
who
know
I
I
know
am.
I am.
Yes.
And
And
who
who
I
I
perceive
perceive
myself to
myself to
be
be
is
is
based
based
upon what
upon
I've
what I've
learned during
learned
my
during my
upbringing, blah,
upbringing,
blah,
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 going
blah, going
forth.
forth.
But the
But the
problem is,
problem
if we
is, if
don't
we
go
don't go
back to
back
the
to the
source of
source
our
of our
creation,
creation,
then we
then we
have
have
a
a
false
false
interpretation of
interpretation
who
of
we
who we
are.
are.
And
And
because we
because
have a
we have a
false
false
interpretation of who
interpretation of
we
who we
are,
are,
I don't
I
view
don't view
myself as
myself as
value
value
Right.
in most
in most
cases.
cases.
Now,
Now,
there are
there are
other
other
cases
cases
where
where
some
some
people view
people view
themselves
themselves
more than
more
what
than
they
what
are.
they are.
So
So
there's a
there's a
spectrum,
spectrum,
identity,
identity,
right?
right?
Grandiose,
Grandiose,
and
and
then,
then
I just
I
call it
just call it
scum area,
scum area.
right? That's
Right?
how we see
That's how we see
ourselves.
ourselves.
We don't
We
see
don't see
ourselves in a
ourselves in a
mask,
mask,
right?
right?
We
We
supposed to
supposed to
see
see
ourselves
ourselves
as
as
a
a
creation of the
creation of the
Almighty,
Almighty,
right?
right?
So the
So the
Almighty
Almighty
created us,
created
and
us,
He
and
gave
He
us an
gave us an
example of how
example
we're
of how we're
supposed to
supposed
be.
to be.
But we
But
don't
we don't
view it
view it
according to
according
those
to those
things. We
things.
view
We
it
view it
according
according
to what
to what
social
social
media
media
says,
says,
what
what
commercials
commercials
tell
tell
us,
us,
what some
what
of the
some of the
bad
bad
programming
programming
existed in our
existed in
lives
our lives
previously.
previously.
And so the
And so the
combination of all
combination
that
of all that
information
information
creates my
creates my
identity of
identity of
myself.
myself.
And in
And
most
in most
cases, it's
cases, it's
all
all
external.
external.
Hair
Hair
done,
done,
nails
nails
done,
done,
makeup
makeup
done,
done,
eyelashes,
eyelashes,
lipstick. Who are
lipstick.
you? Who are you
Who are you
though?
though?
You
Right.
got
You got
all of
all
that
of that
layers of
layers of
confusion. I can't
confusion. I
even
can't
see
even
who
see
you
who
are.
you are.
But here's
But
the
here's the
reality of the
reality of the
truth.
truth.
That's
That's
just the
the
image,
image,
the
the
external
external
image.
image.
That
That
isn't
isn't
even who
even
you
who you
are.
are.
So why
So why
spend so
spend
much
so much
time on
time on
that
that
when the
when the
reality of the
reality of the
truth is
truth
the
is the
intrinsic
intrinsic
value
value
of who
of
you
who
are
you
is
are
what
is
he
what He
placed in
placed
you.
in you?
That's what you
That's what
should
you
be
should be
sharing.
sharing.
Spend more
Spend more
time
time
learning how
learning
to
how to
express
express
this,
this,
how to
how to
clean this
clean this
out, how
out,
to
how to
tweak
tweak
this,
this,
and all this
all
other
this
great
other
stuff.
great stuff.
Once you can
Once you can
express that,
express that,
then that's
then
the
that's
true
the true
nature of
nature of
you.
you.
Not the
Not the
hair, the
hair, the
eyelashes, the
eyelashes, the
lipstick,
lipstick,
the fake
the fake
mole.
mole.
I'm joking
I'm
because that
joking
used
because
to
that
be a
used to
thing
be a
back in
thing
the
back in
80s,
the
right?
80s,
Oh,
right?
they
Everybody
still
wanted to have
doing
one.
they doing fake freckles now. What you talking about?
Seriously?
Seriously?
Yes.
Man, I
Man,
am
I am
so
so
out of touch.
I
I don't know
don't
any
know
of this
any of this
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And
absolutely.
Michelle
And
brings a
Michelle
good
brings a
point.
good point.
Society is a big
Society is a big
contributor to your
contributor to your
self-centered,
self-centered,
egotistical
egotistical
behavior.
behavior.
And I'm
And
just,
I'm
I
just,
hate,
I hate,
Absolutely.
I'm glad
I'm
she
glad
said
she
it
said
just
it
that
just that
way
way
because she's
because she's
absolutely right.
absolutely
It
right.
is
It is
self-centered,
self-centered,
egotistical
egotistical
behavior.
behavior.
You want
You
a
want a
person to
person to
take the
take the
image of
image
you
of you
and make
and
that who
make that
you
who
are.
you are.
And I
And
think
I
I
think I
said this
said this
last
last
conversation,
conversation,
pretty goes
pretty
out the
goes out
door
the
after
door
hello.
after hello.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I mean,
mean,
but
so
again,
again,
I'm going down my tangent. I'm sorry. She got me on one this morning, y'all. Listen, shout out to everybody who's witnessed, who's here this morning. We appreciate you being here. Again, go ahead and hit subscribe, like, share it with everybody. I want to apologize again for my mic. I realize that I'm echoing. I done left the room. I done turned my mic on and off. I'm just going to have to take everything down at the end of the show and put it back together and just hope that whatever bug is in there, get it out. It's good to see you guys. Roland, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Roland's gonna be in the chat dropping dimes. That's what it is. Let me see.
Yes.
Michelle said, I wore makeup for 20 plus years while serving in the Army. In 2018, I had a great friend tell me I didn't need it, and now I'm so comfortable. There you go. That's a
Yes.
perfect example.
Yes.
Be comfortable with the skin that you're in. That's why I said that. I think I said it. Was this last conversation when I said nobody can steal your identity?
Yes, you did.
Yeah. That's kind of like what we're talking about. All right, so let's keep pressing forward because we already off to a good start. So, because trust is important, because in our minds we believe trust is an important factor of relationships, I want to bring facts versus truth to the conversation. So, in your opinion, and I want you to kind of take both perspectives, facts and truths, and compare it to relationships, if you will.
Okay. This is kind of hard because, I ain't been in a relationship in about a decade.
Stop it. You got a relationship with your children.
So that's what I'm saying. So I gotta think of it for my girls. So the fact is, I am a single parent, or was a single parent, because they're young adults now. The truth is, regardless of me being a single parent, that did not stop me from raising them in the way, knowing who the Lord was, knowing who they are internally, and that I'm gonna make mistakes as their mom. I am not God. I am not perfect, but I will do my very best. That is the truth. The truth is, I'm going to do my very best and I'm going to ask God to do the rest. I mean, that's the only way, because I'm not in a relationship with a man. So I have to use my children. Hopefully, the audience, they can apply to the situations that they're in. I ain't gonna say situations, the relationships, because we don't like situationships.
I call
Shout
it a
out.
situationship. My bad.
But
I'm sorry, Roland. He told me I stepping on toes already, so I'm gonna calm down.
He said, he stepped on whose toes?
He said I'm stepping on toes.
Well, it's empowering perspective. If you're not empowered by sitting here monthly, weekly, why are you here?
Roland joking, trust me.
I
Nobody
know.
steps
I
on
like
toes
I
with
like
Roland.
Mr. Roland. He keeps us, on our toes.
He does. That's what he does.
But yeah, back. Please answer this question. What is,
I'm
or
gonna
give us
try
an
something.
example.
I have an epiphany. I'm gonna mute you for a second and see something. All right, can you guys hear me? That was it. Okay, so in this particular, I read an article a few days ago, and the article talked about facts and truth, and I thought it was quite revealing. And I want to kind of provide this article later in the actual show notes. Facts can be different based upon your perspective. So when you look at your upbringing, your programming, your core belief system, when you start identifying reality, you point out the facts, and the facts may not necessarily be congruent from person to person. I'll give you a perfect example. If for whatever reason I hold this up and I said, "What color is this?" Most people who see this are going to say this is red, unless you are red, green, colorblind. If you are red, green, colorblind, this is not red to you. So it's going to be a different color. This is an example of fact. So my perspective of fact may be different than your perspective of fact. So I bring that to the table because truth is founded in principle. So case in point, we're going driving down the street and there's a stop sign. The law says that I must come to a complete stop at the stop sign. It ain't the stuff that we heard in the past. What is it? Slow through open pass. That's how some people believe stop sign. No, that's not true. You got to come to a complete stop. That is the law. There is no question, right? That's it. It's going to be brown. Thank you for that, because I couldn't remember. I was going to say gray. But for those people who are color brown, they'll see red as brown. But a stop sign is the law. It is an accepted fact. It is accepted truth. There is no question. Everybody knows that a stop sign, that you must come to a complete stop. Therefore, when the cop pulls you over and say, "Do you know why I stop you?" You be like, "No." Sure you do. You know you ran that stop sign back there, man. Come on, man. That's right. So it's humorous in the midst of that conversation. But the truth of the matter is, you know the law and you violated the law. That is the truth. But in my mind at that particular point in time, it's fact, because I might be so conditioned and just coming to a slow roll through a stop sign, right, that I think I actually stop. So when it comes down to relationships, sometimes what we realize is that some things can be so ingrained in you that you don't even know that you're doing a thing. So when a person brings something to your perspective, it's like, "No, I don't do that." Yeah, you do. Because everybody has blind spots. And when we realize that, then we'll realize that my facts may not necessarily be your facts. But the only way that we can become more consciously aware of reality is if I listen to the fact that you're sharing with me and combine it with my fact. And that brings us closer to the truth. So that's just kind of like how I look at facts versus truth, because again, that all gets after trust. And so, I think I said before, the Bible tells us not to trust in man, right? In fact, I said the Bible never told you to trust in man. That's what I said. But it also says to trust in the Lord. And here's the best part: lean not to your own understanding, which means, in other words, my understanding is flawed at best. It's not 100% right. It's not 100% wrong. Now, when I combine my understanding with Anita's understanding, now we have a more complete understanding because we're having this thing I tend to call thoughtful disagreement. So, what is thoughtful disagreement? That means that we can bounce ideas, even if we don't agree. We can bounce ideas back and forth off of one another, coming to a higher sense of awareness about this one particular thing. Dwayne, you pick your nose on your own camera. I don't do that. Yes, you do. Okay, well, let me go back and go take a look, right? Because I'm not downplaying anything she's saying. I'm going to observe me to see whether or not I actually do it. Okay, cool. So help me to understand. I'm gonna get off my neck. Stop that. So help me to understand, right? What are some of the signs that let you know that I'm getting? So now we're having these conversations going back and forth. Don't be so stuck on your own idea that you think your own idea is truth. There is no absolute in man. We are all flawed beings. And what we're trying to do is to continue to develop in our understanding. And the only way we're going to get to the place of doing that is by us coming together, us listening to one another, not downplaying anything that anybody else saying, and then actually hearing it from another perspective and actually considering it. You're unmiked.
Mic drop.
You know what? Stop it, man. Stop it.
Mic drop.
But can't we see it? That's where a large portion of where some of the issues come from. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. We think we're perfect. And it's not everybody who thinks they're perfect, but the majority. You know, we don't want to be confronted. We don't want the truth. We want somebody to coddle us. We want somebody to rub us on the back. It's okay when we make big mistakes. There's no ownership. There's no accountability. There's no responsibility. The truth is, like you said, we are flawed human beings. There is nobody perfect on this earth. I don't care how hard we try. We're going to mess up, and we mess up daily. It's not, if we were perfect, we'd be robots. No, everybody's going to, yes, love endures. That's a part of, I think, being able to tell someone the truth. You tell them in love, and then also accepting the truth. You could tell me, hey, I don't know. You don't say anything. And just so y'all know, I did not tell him that. He was really using it as an example. He does not pick his nose. I did not say that he picks his nose. It was just an example. So I don't want y'all to think that I said that behind the scenes.
She did. I'm joking.
But, it is, if we can sit here and have these conversations like adults, like mature people, how much further could we grow as a community if we can just sit down, lay our egos down, and say, you know what, you're telling me the truth, and even ask, how do you think I can approach moving forward? What can I do? Or what do you think? Have you been through this before where I can use your input and apply it to my life so that way I have a better output in life?
I so much like that. I love the fact that you said that, because when I hear you start talking about inputs and outputs, that bring me to the mind of throughput, right? So when you start talking about, thank you. When you start talking about raising children, right? When we get to the point to where we can be a healthy balance of ideas and conversation to where we don't necessarily argue. Like, even if you tell me something or whatever, it doesn't matter if, I disagree or agree. I think that's the wrong perspective to have. And I think that's where we get stuck. We either have to agree or disagree. Who cares if you agree or disagree? Consider it. If we just do that, then we would take the need to agree off the table. But again, remember, this whole conversation is about trust. And the Bible says that, again, trust in the Lord and lean not to your own understanding. So not only does the Bible tell you that if you trust man, something wrong with you, I'm just being honest, but it tells you not to even trust yourself. Trust in the Lord and lean not to your own. So I can't even trust me. I can't even trust my perspective of reality. I need to balance it to the truth. I need to compare it. I'm sorry, not balancing. I need to compare it to the truth. The truth is only one thing that is a set standard which was given to us, and that standard had told us that I am the way, the truth, and the light. So whatever my perception of reality is, I must take that thing and compare it to the one truth that I know based upon my belief system. Now, if we don't have the same belief system, sure, you can compare yours to something else, but that also makes us incompatible. So I think, man, listen, I think you're right. We can just spend hours and hours and hours on top of this conversation. But so let's press forward. Why do we trust in false representatives? I'm curious.
Because it makes us feel good. It feeds the ego. If we don't see the truth and we're in la la land and everything is perfect and we're oblivious to the real issues. And it goes back to what you just said, fact versus truth. This is what I know for sure. The truth don't change whether you like it or not. It is the truth. It don't care if I tell you or you, it doesn't change. So we like to look at, I'm just going to use this. We like filters, right? It makes us look better. But is that true? It is not. And just because I'm being transparent, I tend not to ever use filters on my photos because at a point I started really thinking I looked like that. And when I would take a picture without it, I felt less than who I was. So I said, you know what? I can't do this. I know it looked good on everybody else, but I need to know when I look in the mirror in the morning, I'm not going to be upset about who I see. I'm not going to be, have low self-esteem because I don't have this filter on. I got to like me on the inside and without the makeup, like Michelle was saying, without all the extra, because life will have us thinking that if we have all the friends, if we have all the likes, if we have all the money, that we're happy. No, that's false. That's not a real representation of life. So if we take these filters off, and it's not just the filters to take pictures, it's like Michelle has said, she said, when we, if you could put the last one that she said about we got to shed some things in order to get these lessons. It's the shedding. It's the shedding of the lies that we were told growing up, what society said. When we can, yes, first we have to shed the bad habits, lessons, and behavior. That goes into what you're asking. Why do we like the false representation? Because it makes us feel good. It's a false layer. It's a facade. It's not real. But when we get down to the nitty-gritty, who are you? Who are you? Then you have to sit with you. And some of us don't like that. We don't like what we've been doing. So to face what you've done in the past takes work. And it's going to bring up some emotions. It's going to bring up some tears. It's going to bring up some thoughts. But the only way to get past where you are is to keep moving. You can't stay here. You can't stay in this false reality thinking that if I just stay in this bubble of, I have all the friends, I have the money, I have the relationship, but you don't get to the work on the inside in your heart, you the most miserable person ever. I don't care what nobody say. You miserable. You can show me on camera that you smiling, but what's behind that smile? What's behind that filter? What's behind those lashes, those fake freckles, the fake butt pad? And I mean, we can get to this. I'm here for it. We trust in it because it makes us feel good. It is a false representation. It is not real, and it's your ego. I'm done. I'm sorry.
Listen. Let me tell you something. I'm just going to say it. Please share this. Like, she is tearing down strongholds. I mean, pay attention to what she just, and I'm glad you said it. I probably started it earlier, but I'm glad you said it though, right? I'm glad you said it because she's right. She is 100% correct. In fact, I want to add to what you're saying because I thought it was so well spoken that we actually only pursue the false representatives that reflect the lie that we're trying to tell. That's what I really do believe. Like whatever I believe I'm to be, I only surround myself with the people or things that reinforce my assumption of who I am. It is another. I'm sorry. I really wish I didn't have to mute you because I want to hear you. I know listen, you sound like you're doing a praise dance over there. But that's the truth, though. It's like, my goodness, like we will create the lie that we want other people to believe about ourselves, and then we will surround ourselves with the people and or things to reinforce the lie that we've already told ourselves. And then I'm gonna get mad at you because you don't believe the lie that I want you to believe. It doesn't make sense. Like previously, like last conversation again. If you ain't got it yet, go back and listen to the last conversation. Right, the last conversation. One of the things we talked about is man, how did we actually say it? We said that why believe in something that's unstable? Like why pattern your belief system behind something that has instability? Right? The Bible, like God says that I will never leave or forsake you. I am the way, the truth, and the life. So why believe in something that has zero stability in it? And everything that you see in your entire life outside of him is unstable. Even people, even you. So when we start looking at these false representatives only reinforce the lies that we're trying to tell or the lies that we believe, or both for that matter. So what we have to do, and I started off by saying it, we got to first be honest with ourselves. I'm not as great as I'm trying to make you to believe I am, and I'm not as bad as I believe I am. I believe myself to be. That is everybody's truth. I'm just being 100% transparent. The world have the world has literally poured a lot of bad information in you. So regardless of what end of the spectrum that you ruminate on, right? You ruminate on the end that serves you at that particular point in time. So if I do not believe myself to be the victor, I will portray the victim because I want you to feel sorry for me. And the other side of the coin is I will put messages on social media to try to paint the picture that I am a victor by dominating other people, which I think is the most crazy thing that they said I wasn't going to be able to do it. Whoa, stop. What does this have to do with they? They said I wasn't going to be able to do it, but look at me now. What? They're not the enemy. Those are some of the worst things that we can ever do, because what we're doing is telling people that I will step on you to get to where I want to be at. And I will use the name of God to make you believe that that's what's actually happening in my life. Why? Because those people who actually listen to stuff like that, they're going to run to me. They're going to like what I'm doing. They're going to like what I'm showing. And I'm going to do it every day to see how many likes I can get. False representatives. It's not reality.
So good. So good. And I'm being transparent. I'm one of those people that say, your enemy said that you couldn't, but God said that you could. Also, and just because you said it, I have to share this. For a long time I was angry, right? Because of the divorce. And I use the divorce as fuel to go to school, to work out, to get promotion. Because I was like, you ain't gonna never catch me like that again. You ain't gonna. But then when I stopped, I didn't have any motivation.
You stepping on my toes.
I'm sorry, but you started, and I'm being transparent. I didn't have any motivation because I was at peace then. I was using my anger to fuel me, and for the long, I'm telling you, I was like, I want to go work out, but because I have been using negativity to push me to do well, when I wanted just to do well without being angry, I ain't had nothing to pull on. So I had to retrain my mind like, no, stop using anger to fuel you. Stop using. Now, it is a good teacher because I did get to a certain point, but I know that God was elevating me like, okay, yes, you did use this to get here because he'll use a donkey. We know that. But now I need you to be at peace. I need you to shed some of those bad habits, because that was a bad habit, that I mentally in my mind, I got to go back to this place every single time where I was hurt, where somebody said something about me, and then I could do it. No, that's toxic. You got to be able to be a self-starter at peace. That was a false representation.
Go back and say that again. You got to be able to be what?
A self-starter at peace. a self-starter at peace.
So I
Not
need,
using
so I need to be able to start my own piece. Man, if y'all missed that, hit rewind. That was good. Like I'm so serious because when you really listen to that, it doesn't matter what's going on around you. You should be able to kickstart your own piece in the midst of adversity. Man, come on. That's girl. Listen. Okay, everybody, share it right now. Go ahead and hit the like. Go ahead and share it. I'm telling you, Anita's dropping bombs today. I'm just here for the ride. Like that was so good. Like I need to, man. Let me let this go. You need to be a self-start at peace. And I ain't joking, y'all. That's in fact, I tell you what, for those of you who heard, go ahead and put self-start at peace. You need to be a self-starter at peace. You know, make that a Facebook post today, or an Instagram post, or a TikTok video. In fact, do a little TikTok jig and do you know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, that phrase within itself, there's so much strength that you can find in that phrase. Even in the midst of whatever it is, it's tax season coming up. I need to be a self-starter at peace because I know I'm about to pay a lot of taxes. It happens every year. I get frustrated during tax season because I already know I'm about to kick out some money. So I need to be a self-starter piece. I'm taking all that. Man, this is so good. All right, so we're gonna kind of jump on some of these questions real quick. Okay, so first and foremost, the first question is it safe for me to view trust as a foundational aspect of relationship?
You know, I'm still working on it because at the minimum, if you say you're going to call me back, call me back. That's the minimum. So if I can't trust you with the little, how are we going to get past the inconsistencies? So for me, I'm still working in this area of can I be in a relationship and the foundation is not trust? For me, I can't speak for anybody else. The answer is still no. I'm just being honest. There's some things that I need, and number one is consistency. Keep your word. Do what you said you're going to do. And if you don't, hey, it's always, to me, it's okay if I tell you, hey, I'm not going to be able to jump on this Saturday because of X, Y, and Z. Can we do it tomorrow? Can we change it a day? Because I don't want you to think that I just don't want to do it at all.
Right.
Something actually came up. So I'm okay with someone saying, hey, I know we planned this, or I know I said this. However, some extenuating circumstance came up. However, I still want to do this with you. We just got to change it. To me, that goes, I can still trust your word. To me, that the trust not broken. For that purpose, the trust is not broken. That's my definition. I don't know about anybody else, because you let me know you couldn't, or this is what happened, and then you also gave me a rain check. You told me you still want to do this, but we just can't do it today.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like it.
Yes, Cassandra. Yes.
I like it. Did I just do that? Sorry. I want to add to what you're saying because I get that. And this question here, I think, is a question of sincerity. But I also believe that when you look at this question, it's like, okay, and I think Chris mentioned this last night. This is what I know, and this is what I'm learning. So I want to grab hold to what I'm learning, but what I know is fighting me, and it won't allow me to come all the way together. So can I get this and still hold on to a piece of that? No. Sorry. No. It's not going to work. This is the reality of the truth. Is it safe for me to view trust as a foundational aspect of relationships? Yes, but not ships. Ship. Trust as the foundational aspect of relationship is based upon your relationship with the Father. That's where your trust exists. as we develop, and I don't want to get ahead of myself here, as we develop that relationship with him, as we become more transparent, as we become more vulnerable, as we become more open, as we become more communicative, then what you'll find is that we start to relate that to other people. So, first and foremost, the way that we view trust in the beginning, we view trust as something that this is what I have for you. It requires you to meet it. Let me say it again. Trust is something I have for you. It requires you to meet it. Wrong. That's not a relationship. That's a job. Just being completely transparent. That's not a relationship. That's a job. So the minute I put the mantle of expectations on you and I give you a job description, which is what we try to do, and I say, these are the things that you must meet, then the minute I do that, it is a job. And when you start failing at some of your tasks on the job, now I need to write you up. That's what ends up happening. So the question is it safe for me to view trust as a foundational aspect of relationship, not ships? Yes, because trust is reserved for the Lord. However, I cannot place it on man, because the minute I place it on man, man will prove to me that he is not Jesus Christ. Man is not perfect. And when we view man through the lens of perfection, then that's what we're saying. I want you to be my God. Now, here's the other end. When I correct your behavior, you're saying, I want you to view me as God, because I don't want to accept your correction. Sorry. I said that out loud.
Ooh, okay. Sir.
What?
Sir. I got a question.
Okay.
If we are not to view trust as a foundational aspect, what can we use as a foundation then?
Him.
Him at the center and at the foundation, the center, and the head.
So you was an army.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I don't know when you joined the army. I'm just for the echo. I don't know when you joined the army. Remember the tents, the GP meetings, and remember the center pole? You cannot construct that tent without the center pole. It's the biggest and strongest pole in the tent. The Bible talks about this in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 3-strand cord. So it's not just two people in a relationship, it's three. He is the center of the relationship. He is the pole. He is the foundation. He is, and I'm going out on a limb by saying this, but he is the rock of Gibraltar. He is the reason why the relationship exists. If it wasn't for him, there would be no relationship in the first place. There would be nothing but pure manipulation and using another person for your own selfish gain. He is the reason why relationships are successful. So to answer your question, I want to say, Michelle giving us her military background too. Trust me, I used to be the man. When I was a private, I had to run that pole in the center. Man, that's a job. But that's the truth though. He is the one that's doing all the heavy lifting, not you, not me. He already did it. He did the worst. He performed the most egregious task that anybody could ever perform in a relationship. So why do we feel that we need to go back and follow in the footsteps of crucifixion? We don't need to. He already did it. So instead of us fighting it out, why don't we put him at the center of it so we can love it out?
So you said he is the one who put it together. I need people to understand. He said God is the one that put them together. If that applies to you,
I want to be clear. I don't say intentionally. I don't say he put relationships together, because a lot of times Tyrone and Tamika get together and they realize that one was living a facade, and then next thing you know, they want to blame him for the relationship failing. So we decide, right? But he is the foundation. He is the center, as Roland said, the stabilizer of our relationships. We can't blame him when we made a bad decision. So I want to make sure I'm clear when I'm saying that. But he is the reason for it to be successful, simply because I have learned to humble myself. So the way I used to respond years ago, I may not necessarily respond that way. I may ask questions today instead of making accusations tomorrow. You see what I'm saying? So that I just want to make sure I clear up what I said there.
And that's why I'm saying it, because a lot of people, they don't invite him in. And then they get mad at him when it don't work. So who put you together? I'm gonna say who put you together, who was at the center. If he was never at the center and then it doesn't work, well, you know what you're missing. So make sure that he is at the center, because if we do the choosing ourselves, or we put trust at the center, we put all these other things at the center. Like you said, he's already been crucified. He's already taken up every single sin that we will ever commit. So he is the one and only when you put your trust in him. So if you have him at the center, for one, I'm not dating nobody that the Lord didn't send. Because if he sent them, because I'm asking, I'm not moving, Dwayne.
Don't do it.
I don't even want to play date. You know how some people, let me get out here and date a little bit, and I ain't wasting my time. This ain't going nowhere. I already know that. I don't have time to play with you. If you're not my spouse, we're not going anywhere. I don't want to waste any time. We can speak and be cordial just walking past each other. We don't need to sit down and go to the movies and do all that. I'm sorry, I'm going on a rant, but I'm letting you know I'm not gonna do it.
Ain't gonna be no Netflix and chill around here.
And it ain't.
Listen, I'm glad you went there, because I think this question is for you.
Make it make sense. I understand your point, but I don't see me being with someone I don't trust. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, but you've been breaking this down for me. If nobody else is grabbing these gems, I'm learning, that I shouldn't trust, and it says don't trust a man, which that's what I was doing because of how I was raised. And then there's still some things that I have to learn. Like Michelle said, there's some shedding of some bad habits. And now, even with our monthly meetups, if I'm growing. I don't know about anybody else, but I know I'm growing from these conversations. So I'm able to go back and be like, you know what, I was trusting in man to do something that they could never fulfill. Not ever, because I can't even do it. So who am I to say, nah, I just can't do it. But if I have him at the center, which I placed him there, like when I say I don't move, I don't move. You have to push me to do something. That if the Lord don't make it plain for me, I just can't do it, because I don't want to risk wasting time. I don't want to risk hurting someone else because of my bad behaviors, or because I'm just not there yet. I'm still being worked on. And I don't want to be the cause of somebody else being set back. So if I say the Lord is at the center, that's who I'm turning to when I have an issue. I'm not praying to a man. I pray that you would do this. No, I'm praying to God. That's like Rose said, the stabilizer. When you're living right, you'll be able to see through the BS and the fake love and attention, and it won't be a fleshly thing, which we know
He warming up.
stimulates our flesh.
He's warming up. He must have got his coffee.
Okay.
Listen, I want to put this out, because I want to comment on what you said. This is Q&A with me and Onita. So whatever trust questions you got, by all means, put in the chat. We're here for, like she said earlier, we're here for it. So go ahead and put your questions in the chat. We want to bring it to the conversation. Roland, you're right, brother. When you're living right, you will be able to see through the belief system. That's what I'm gonna call that. The belief system and the fake love and attention, and it won't be a fleshly thing. It won't be no Netflix and chill, right? We know that stimulates our flesh only. That's the only piece I'm gonna add to what it said. Only. I want to make sure I'm clear when I say that. Only. It stimulates your flesh only. That's important to understand. Greetings, shout out, brother Chris. Good to see you. Again, share this with everybody. Go ahead and put it on your social media. Share it with people. Because if you've missed a portion of what was going on here today, I think you'll see that we're reframing the image of relationships by helping us to understand that no relationship, well, based upon how we've been doing it in the past, when we say that our relationship is founded in trust, it better be trust in the Lord. That's the only trust that exists in that relationship. So when you look at this question, make it make sense. I understand your point, but I don't see myself being with someone I don't trust. Then don't. But based upon what I just said, you're going to be lonely for the rest of your life. Just being honest. I don't want to sugarcoat reality. Again, we talked about fact versus truth, right? Again, if you can't trust in the Lord, then the only thing you're going to do is use someone else to be him, and they will fail. That's just what it is. And then what ends up happening is that we find ourselves in relationships, and we're so inundated on proving the world wrong that, Black people or people in general just can't be in long-term relationships. So we want to prove the world wrong that we live in misery without the joys that are available in relationship. So there are a lot of relationships, I believe, that exist today that just don't want to prove that they just don't want to be a statistic, but they're living in misery because they never had a relation that was grounded in the trust of the Lord. This is another thing I say. I'm gonna add some. Can I add some more complexities to it? I'm sorry. When you come to the understanding of the necessity of Christ, right? So when we go back and read the Bible, we understand the Bible articulates to you the dispensations of time. And as you understand the dispensations of the law, then that helps you to understand the necessity of Christ, which is found in the dispensation of grace. Therefore, when you understand the necessity of Christ, then you ask him to be the Lord and Savior in your life. Therefore, when we meet another person, I want to make sure we're getting somewhere. When I meet another person, I need to understand that their belief system line up with my belief system. If their belief system line up with my belief system, I don't trust them. I view them as trustworthy. If you're trustworthy, which means we have the same belief system, we both trust in him, then we can entertain the idea of being together. That does not mean we have to be together. I want to make sure this is where the decision comes in at. He will never violate your ability to make a decision. So you make the decision for two trustworthy people to be together. But every marriage vow takes us back to the law. And it's your responsibility to usher your relationship to Christ. So when we talk about this thing, we need to understand the tug of war that actually happens, because you need to understand a thing. That thing is that you have to be consciously aware that, number one, I have a misinterpretation of trust right now based upon all of the information that has been given to me growing up. Now, don't get me wrong. If you were raised in a house that taught that, by all means, hold on to that, because that's the truth, right? Once I realize that a lot of the information I have is wrong, then I seek. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. So when you seek him, you seek his kingdom, his understanding, his virtue, his spiritual nature, then it starts to be revealed to you. Only when you seek it. It won't be revealed to you just by, oh, that's what it looks like. Oh, awesome. Thank you for, no, it don't work that way. You have to seek it. When you seek it, then it starts to be revealed, and it reveals itself to you. Then you start going back and say, man, I've been doing this wrong the whole time. I've been thinking, man, this is crazy. So I was the one that was wrong, right? Or there was some wrong in what it was. Because let's just be honest. I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I think I've said this probably about 4 episodes ago. No one is innocent. Be complete. I don't care if they're 99% guilty. That 1% is still yours. Own the 1% and stop blaming the other 99. That's it. So I know I said a lot. That means y'all got to go back and listen to it again. However, listen, this is key, because this question here, I don't mean offense. I'm just being honest. This question here is rooted in stubbornness. Look at the first portion of it. Make it make sense. I understand your point. What's the next word? But, which means everything you said meant nothing to me. I don't see me being with someone else. Well, if you don't see it, it'll never happen. You got to understand the power of the words that you say. Words mean things, right? So when we really think about it, and I don't mean this as any disrespect, my goal is really just to improve us holistically. And I say it all the time. When the family unit can come together, the unit, not just one person, the unit can come together, then the community becomes stronger. A stronger community creates a stronger culture. So, in order for our culture, we as a people to unite, it requires the family to come back together. That's my point. So when I look at this, I'm more compassionate than I am judgmental. Don't look at me as being judgmental. I'm more compassionate. I just speak with passion. It's two different things. Compassion and passion, right? If you understand the point, let that be enough. I want to make sure I'm saying it. If you understand the point, let that be enough. Don't do the buts and the I don't see, because that means that I'm only pacifying the conversation so I can move to the point I really want to make. So when we look at this, we have to take strong, like we got to look in the mirror. We got to be responsible for self. My responsibility metric means that we must look at where it is I've been viewing it wrong and start doing it better. That's actually choosing, absolutely. That's actually choosing to walk in fear. The fear of being hurt and not walking in his promises of greater. Great point, Roland. I'm glad you said that, because you're spot on. I'm sorry, Neil. I had you in the closet for a while.
No, I'm still talking as if you can hear me. That's good what Roland said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're operating in fear, and he didn't give us that spirit. So I ain't gonna hold you. I know we still got, some more questions. I don't need to add nothing to that.
Well, all right. Here we go. Now you get the how. How do I redirect my trust for the sake of quality? Relationships.
I am going to defer to you, sir, because I want to know this myself. How do I redirect my trust for the sake of a quality relationship? Because I don't want to be alone forever. And I don't want to put someone up on a pedestal that I know they're going to fall from.
Yeah.
So, me too, Cassandra. What? Me and you, we locked in, sis. We listening.
So let me. I kind of want to set the conditions as we go into this. I think, and I started talking about the dispensations of time for a reason, because the dispensation of law is probably far more profitable to us than what most churches have taught us to understand in the past. And most of us only understand the law as 10 commandments. It's way more than that. Way more than that. Under spiritual law, you have natural law, and then you have man-made law, right? Natural law and man-made law, or I'm sorry, natural law, i.e. universal law. Natural law and man-made law are not void of spiritual law, right? So when you hear the Bible say, whatever you bind on earth, you bind in heaven, whatever you loose on earth, you loose in heaven, it is a depiction of the laws intertwined. So what you have to understand, I tell you, he done warmed up. So what you have to understand is that when we understand the law is actually put here, not just to help us to understand who he is, but also to help us to understand how to function on this earth. So you can literally use the law to your advantage. In fact, it's the word was created for man, not him. So when you look at it from that perspective, go back and look at the life of Christ, because I think this is the answer to the question that we're looking at. He spent 33 years to get to his destiny. His destiny was to be crucified. Why? So that he can win the souls back to God and give them the Holy Spirit. In the midst of that 33 years, he taught about faith. So all of this stuff intertwines. So how do I redirect my trust for the sake of quality relationship? First and foremost, you need to exercise the law of sacrifice. Sacrifice what you know trust to be now for what he said trust is. That's first and foremost. Exercise faith principles when it comes down to quality relationships. And I think Roland talked about it. Roland and Michelle mentioned love earlier. I want to go back to that, because we are simply his vessels. When you understand a vessel is just something that used to direct something, right? So I can use this as a vessel. I go put it under the water faucet. I put water in it. Why? So I can pour it into something else. Well, if you're his vessel, you are a vessel of his spiritual nature: love, joy, peace, patience, long suffering. So, in essence, when you understand how quality relationships work, you can't pour from an empty cup. Conversation from last week, right? Our last conversation, right? You can't pour from an empty cup. So, your responsibility is to keep your receptacle full. Overflow is for someone else. So now you direct the overflow to someone else. So the depiction of quality identifies how much value you put into it, not how much value someone else put into you. I need to come out the closet. Come on out the closet.
That's good. I was just saying that's good. I don't know about y'all, but I feel like I've been in boot camp the last couple sessions. Not in a bad way, but like you said, empowering.
Absolutely.
So that way I can be successful. So you can be successful. So I don't take offense. I'm really, he said, I'm just enjoying all the dialogue, all my cousins.
With all his
Okay,
cousins.
cuz, I like that. But yeah, I didn't take offense to it, and hopefully nobody else did, because you're not, you're coaching and empowering us in love, not out of anger, not out of frustration. So if we can just settle down, yes, if we just settle down and be willing to listen, then willing to learn, and then willing to change, then the holistic thing of us, who we are, our ideas, how we move, how we enter into a relationship, it will be for the good. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that. I got to put you back in the closet for a second. I'm glad you said that because I really just want us to get it. Like like the younger generation needs us. I am working on another video right now. And one of the things I put in that video is a write up. And in that write up, it says that the information age has been good to us. It literally gave us, a plethora of information at your fingertips. But the other side to it is that we've lost the desire to seek guidance from the elders. So the experience and understanding of the word of God is being sunken with the elders every time we go to a memorial service. And the younger generation, they're not pulling of the elders. They're not receptive of the elders. And I will be honest with you, that bothers me. It really does bother me because I would be completely transparent. If it wasn't for my elders, I don't know where I would be. I had three men in my life that was just nothing but value added in the absence of my father. So when I talk about the elders must be reinstated in our community simply because that's the voice of wisdom that understands the law of sacrifice. It ain't about me, it's about us. So let me give you what I've learned by beating my head up against a brick wall, by telling the people that were older than me, oh, well, you guys are older. We don't do it that way anymore. And realize that what they were telling me was actually right. So allow me to impart in you, younger generation, on how not to make the same mistakes. We're not saying we're better than you. We're not even saying that we're perfect. We're trying to tell you that we made the same mistakes that you are making. You're choosing to make those mistakes simply because you got the internet. It's the same thing. It just looks different. There is no different. So, and that's kind of like why I talk the way I talk. And like Onita said, I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not bashing anybody. I just want our community to get better holistically. And I believe that we can actually achieve that if we work together. And that requires that we listen to something or someone outside of the false representative that we're trying to portray. That's all.
I'm gonna say this, and I hope nobody takes offense. But this is my interpretation to some of what you said when you said the younger generation is not listening to the elders.
But didn't you tell me a couple of conversations ago that the truth is the truth?
And it don't care who like it.
All right.
I see the younger generation as a bastard generation. And partly elder fault, and then the other fault, the younger generation. We got to come to a happy medium where, look, you don't have to accept everything that I'm saying. as don't put a but, because I'm giving you my life lesson. And it's going to look different for you, but the lesson is still the same. So we do have an obligation and responsibility to the younger generation, not to orphan them, not to leave them out here flapping, to police them up one at a time. And that's my thing. I don't care if my post only one person says, that helped me. Well, he left the 99 for the one. Then that one is the one that I needed to pour into. So we have to do better at, learning. Like you said, every memorial, we're losing valuable information because we can just go to the internet. Go sit down and talk to your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents. They are imparting wisdom in you. And like I said, the less what it looks like, your situation may not be the same, but I guarantee you the lesson is going to be the same. It's going to look different for you. How you went through it, you're going to come all the way back. Oh, that's what they were saying. That's what they were trying to get me to. And there's a young man in my office. He just said it this week. He said, I got to give it to you. You were right and I was wrong. And I said, tell me one time have I steered you wrong in the year you've been in here? He said, I don't know one time. Not one. Because I want him to be successful. I'm not in competition with anyone younger than me. This is my life, is my life, is my race. Nobody can run it faster than me. I'm running at the pace that I believe God has me going. But I also know with that, it's okay to look on the sidelines of this marathon and see people, oh yeah, I'm going to come back and talk to them. Oh yeah, I want to make sure that they know what I did to get here. I'm not just saying, oh, I'm leaving them behind. No, I want them to come with me. Come on. Because I have daughters who are in the younger generation. And I need their peers to think and know the same things that they know. The same way of thinking, knowing who God is, knowing that you don't believe in false representatives, knowing that you don't believe in unstable things. No, I need a community, a county, a city, a nation to know this is the way it's supposed to be, not what they said it was going to be.
Man, that was so good. That was the benediction, y'all. I'm sorry. The doors of the church are now open. No, I'm just listen. I couldn't have said that any better. Like I really do. I like who I am. When I look in the mirror, I like what I see, and I'm not talking about this outward shell. I'm talking about who He created me to be. Right. I like my community. I like my culture. I think everybody should share in it. I want to share our culture with the world. But the problem, what I've seen, is that what we tend to do is we want to make the culture the number one conversation. And that goes for everybody, not just us, right? Everybody. I think everybody wants to make their culture the number one conversation. That's called control because everybody can't look like me. And so if I make my culture the number one conversation, that means I think there is an inferiority complex that exists, right? Some people call it a superiority complex, but it's not. It's an inferiority complex. So if I'm trying to make my culture dominant over your culture, that's because I identify something in your culture that I don't understand. And the things I don't understand, I abuse. Same thing happens in relationships. What I don't understand about you, I abuse. That's why I am an advocate of not necessarily telling somebody of the opposite sex how to be what the opposite sex is supposed to be. However, I can tell a person of the opposite sex how to be a good person. And it's not me telling them, it's really helping them, right? And they can tell me how to be a good person, but they can't tell me how to be a man. I can't tell a woman how to be a woman. That's not my responsibility. I don't even venture into that. And we got to be careful because too many times on social media, I hear people say, well, a good man will, you don't even know what a good man would do. In fact, your daddy wasn't a good man. He was just your daddy. That's it. Same thing on the other side. Well, a good woman, you can't even tell a woman. Stop that. You can't even tell. You don't even know what a good woman is. All you know is what your mama was. That's it. And you got to be careful who you talk to, because they might tell you that your mom and your daddy wasn't as good as you think they were. Trust me, those are very difficult conversations, but they're human. That's the part that we keep forgetting. We keep putting people up on this pedestal, right? Thinking that they're better than what they really are. They're not. They're no better than you, and you're no better than them. When we come to that understanding, then we can be honest with ourselves and be vulnerable to the point that we have start developing the depth and breadth of relationships that we're supposed to have for one another. I don't know about you guys. It bothered me, and I don't want to, this is not a political conversation. It bothered me to see that young man on TV talking the way he was talking, telling me he's going to be the next senator. No, you're not. Not if I can help it. If I could vote 15 times, I would have. That's a representation of us. And if you don't see it that way, then I question what you see when you look in the mirror. If you don't have compassion for your brand, why be a part of the brand? I'm just saying. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm just, get
No apology needed.
a little excited about my people. I love my people, man. We gotta love
We
ourselves. Michelle, great question.
question.
And I think Roland kind of gave the best answer. A person being a guide is a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure I'm saying that. A person being a guide is a blessing. I'm careful with the word responsibility. We just talked about this last night. My relationship with the Most High is my responsibility. He did everything. He's already done everything. He ain't gonna do nothing else. It's my responsibility. That's why I started talking about seek ye first. It's my responsibility to have a relationship with the Most High. However, my environment is also my responsibility as well. So the people that I surround myself with, I take responsibility with that. I don't surround myself with people that aren't trustworthy. That's what we just talked about, right? So for those people who believe in the Most High, that's what I surround myself with. And because of that, what we'll find is that we are guides for one another. We become accountability partners for each other. So let me use you, Onita. I got to reach across the mic. I got to use Onita, right? So if Onita say, hey, you know what? I really want to, first of the year coming around, I want to lose 10 pounds, right? Okay, cool. You want to lose 10 pounds? Got it. Now, that's her responsibility, not mine. However, she told me, because she is indirectly telling me, so I kind of want you to hold me accountable for this, right? That's why conversation exists. There is always a reason for conversation. A lot of times what we get in, so I was just sharing it because I want to share it. No, there's no. You're sharing it because you want me to know, but you want me to know why. Because here's the truth. If I don't care, I'll never ask you about it again. But if I care, hey, how's that weight loss thing coming along? I didn't know you cared. Sure. Why'd you think I was listening? How's that weight? Well, I'm struggling with it. Okay, how can I help? That is community. And I think when we look at it from that perspective, that changes everything. We've gotten to the point that we don't want nobody looking at our house. I don't want you to check on my house when I go out of town. That's my house. Stop looking at it. No, community is supposed to look out for one another. If we are a community and we trust in the Lord, like we say we do, and lean not to my own understanding, whatever thing I tell myself that is pulling me out of community, I need to cast it down and submit it to the Word of God, right? Community means that it takes a neighborhood to raise a child. I want you to look out for my child as he or she is walking down the street. Those are extensions. It's like, multiple sets of eyes. I can't watch them all the time, but in the community, I see you. I see what you're doing. I'm going to tell you daddy. I'm going to tell you mama. You know what I'm saying? That's really what it was. And we've lost that. I don't know why, but we've lost that. We got to get back to it. So back to your question, if we don't have a person to help us or guide us to the truth, then we got to look at the company that we keep. Because if we don't feel like the company that we keep actually points us back to the truth, they're not trustworthy. So now I need to recycle my environment, surround myself with people that point us back to the truth. And I think that's the answer to the question that you asked. So great question. And thank you for that. Man, I've been missing. Listen, shout out to the chat, man. You guys are on it today. If I missed you, I apologize. I'm sorry. Let me take it back out of the closet. If I missed you, I apologize. I think I shout out to my boy Chris. Good to see you as always. Antoine, good to see you, my friend. You guys are amazing. Again, share. This has been an amazing conversation. I apologize for that echo, but we're gonna get it right. I just believe that this conversation is just too powerful for us not to share it with everybody else. So my challenge is to share. And again, get on social media. And I already tagged Renita with her own statement, right? You gotta be a self-starter at peace. I want everybody to put that on social media today. Make somebody ask you, what does that mean? I mean, other crazy stuff, right? You get it. Why not that?
Right.
All right. Last words, man.
So we have to relearn what trust means. And you've given us a foundation, where to go to learn, and it's in the word. And then once we learn that, then we can apply it not only to external, but internal. Take a self check at yourself. Like, what is it that I am projecting to make me think or make other people think that I have the best life, or I'm living in a facade, these false narratives, false representatives. And once we're able to learn what trust, the foundation of trust, where it came from, then it's easy for us to be a part. Like, everybody is in the house now. I don't want to deal with anybody. I don't want to. But when we know what trust, who trust is, Jesus is trust. When we know who that is, then it's easier for us to interact with other people with not such a high, I'll say, PD, for work. Because it's not work. It shouldn't be work. I caught that. It's not a job that someone's applying for. So it's not a skill set. It's not your KSAs, all that. When you learn about trust, you can apply it properly. And then I believe relationships that you have now and the ones that you have in the future are going to be better. And there was something else that I talked to Coach about before, but I don't know if you want me to say it now or wait until after your advice to the listeners. Okay, so since we're talking about trust, I wrote an ebook, and I want to gift one person a copy of the ebook that can tell us two of the previous, not counting today, two of the previous talks that we've had. Put it in the chat. He will let me know. Hopefully we can do it before we leave, but if not,
Right now.
do it right now. And the person who answers correctly with their email address, I will email you my ebook before the weekend is over. And it's called Trust the Process.
Well, you can send me your email address. That way you're not putting your information out there. Simple, Dwayne.g.dwyer@gmail. I take all the smoke. Give me all the spam emails. I delete them anyway.
works.
Send me the email, Dwayne.g.dwyer. I'm sorry, let me take you back in the
But
car.
first,
I'm sorry, Greg.
we got to see who actually got it right before
Right.
they send. We don't want everybody sending his.
Right.
The
Now,
person
everybody-
get it right.
Listen, everybody know random. They're going to YouTube right now, search it. Nah, that is a very generous offer, and trust me, you might want to go ahead and put your stuff in the chat like right now. And I think we're gonna start doing stuff like that, little stuff like I'm gonna start gifting people stuff, because I'm only gonna gift you stuff. Cassandra's putting one up there already. Was that one of them? I don't know, Cassandra. I don't think that was one.
He said, I don't know.
I think that was a talking point of one. I'm checking though.
Okay.
But, so yeah, I think. Let me get over here for a second. Be patient with me. There we go. All 10 of them. So anyway, going back to the. Okay, that's one. I know that's one. So going back to the whole advice for listeners, I think it is important that we understand there is no absolute in mankind. I am only absolutely dependent upon his grace and his mercy. So what I know is partial at best. It needs some tweaking. It needs some other pieces of the puzzle to go to it. So whatever anybody shares with me, it is important for me to consider. I stress that piece because, you know what? I think Cassandra did get it. I think that was one of the ones. Mm, mm-mm. Close, Cassandra, close. But I think what we have to understand is that, because I don't want to tell you something wrong, but I think what we have to understand is that we have to get to the point. Oh, you're talking about the ones before we went live. Okay, I got you. So that is definitely one, Roland. See, Roland said he'll buy it from you. So he don't want the gift. He want to bless you. So we definitely appreciate those. So anyway, getting back to my advice. Listen, this is the deal. We should not ever get to the point to where we think that we have all the information complete. We should get to the point to where we start being open and honest and sharing with one another in the pursuit of him, not the pursuit of me being right, not the pursuit of my own self-righteousness. There is no righteousness in this. It's only righteousness in him. Therefore, I seek to hide myself in him. In him I live, in him I move, in him I have my being. Right? So in him I can be deemed as. So that's what we have to get to. So we have to learn to humble ourselves for the sake of the greater good. If at any point in time I look at me and I think, what can I get out of this? How can me? Then that is evidence of where I'm existing right now. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that we have some bad behaviors that need adjusting. That's all. And I think a lot of times when people get corrected, they feel like they're a bad person. That's okay. It's okay to be corrected, not for you to feel like you're a bad person. I want to make sure I'm clear when I say that. You're not a bad person. You just have bad behavior, and that does not make you unique. That makes everybody consistent, because we all have bad behavior at some place in certain situations about certain things. So we got to get out of the mindset to where, oh, you can't tell me anything. I know it all and blah, 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 blah. No, you don't. And unfortunately, if you don't listen to what I will say, what I'm trying to help you with, life will teach you the lesson. But you got to learn it. It's inevitable. So it's simple. Listen to this multiple times. We apologize for the echo. But again, I think we did a pretty good job maneuvering around it. I just want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of this conversation. Anita, thank you for being awesome as always. It is always a pleasure to share this conversation. Let me take out the closet. It's always great to share in this conversation. And I'm going to be the first to offer you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, because we ain't going to talk again until 2023.
That's right. And thank you so much for this opportunity. It's almost been a year that we've been doing this, and I know I've grown personally, and I thank you for that. I thank you to all the listeners that have been continuously tuning in every month with us. I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I take it seriously. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I can't wait to see what else is in store.
Absolutely. I owe you an email with Cassandra's information for the ebook. I'm gonna send you Roland's email as well, because he said he wants it.
It's actually on my website.
Oh, sorry, OnitaV.com. There it is. And it's also in the show notes. So, yeah, absolutely. Also, 2023. We're going to be rolling out a project that we've talked about. And it's going to incorporate the entire playlist of everything that we talked about so far. So be on the lookout for that. I think you're going to enjoy it. That being said, have a great rest of your weekend. There's no Georgia football today, but I'm representing last year because I'm looking for a repeat. With that being said, it is always a pleasure to interact with Onita and everybody in the chat. So with that being said, everybody have a phenomenal day.
Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Take me back to a place where I felt at home. Take me back to a day when we weren't alone. Take me back to an age when the world felt small. Way back before we blew it all. Too many things going on, I can't keep track of them all. From people dropping a bomb to people putting up walls. I feel like life is on hold, perception stuck in a vault. I know that time can heal all, but how much time till we fall? It's awfully chilly outside when there's no shelter to hide. When everything is a lie, you'll find that out in some time. But when the things on your mind are all considered a crime, communication aside, we'll all just fight till we die. Is this an argument or just the start of it? Either way, I don't wanna be a part of it.